She came out with the truth, and I chose to stand beside her no matter what emotional love story. The moment she placed the roses in my hands, I knew something was wrong, not because of what I saw, but because of what I felt. A strange heaviness behind her beautiful smile, as if those flowers carried a truth she had been hiding for far too long. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing by someone when the world turns its back on them, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. And tell me in the comments, do you believe love should come with conditions or not? She stood in front of me that evening, glowing under soft golden lights, her eyes reflecting both courage and fear at the same time. Around us, people laughed, music played softly, and the world seemed perfect. But between us, there was something fragile, something unspoken, something waiting to break free. I had known her for months. We met in the most ordinary way through a mutual friend at a small gathering, but nothing about her ever felt ordinary. She had this quiet strength, the kind that doesn't demand attention but earns respect without trying. I found myself drawn to her, not because she was flawless, but because she carried something real, something deep. And yet there was always a distance, not the kind you measure in steps, but the kind you feel in silence. Every time things got closer, she would pull away just enough to remind me that there was a part of her I wasn't allowed to see. At first, I thought it was fear of commitment, or maybe past heartbreak. I told myself to be patient. Some people just take longer to open up. But that night, everything changed. As she handed me the roses, her fingers trembled slightly. Her smile faded just enough for me to notice. Her eyes searched mine, as if she was trying to decide whether I was strong enough for what she was about to say. And then, without warning, the truth came out, not in a dramatic outburst, not in tears, but in a quiet, steady voice that carried the weight of years. She told me everything about her past, about the mistakes she believed defined her, about the judgment she had faced, the whispers, the way people looked at her as if she was something broken. She told me about the nights she cried alone, convinced that she was unworthy of love, that no one would ever truly accept her if they knew who she really was. She didn't ask for sympathy. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She just wanted to be honest for once. And as she spoke, I felt something inside me shift. Because in that moment, I realized something most people never understand. Truth doesn't make someone weak, it makes them brave. But I would be lying if I said it was easy. Her words stayed with me long after that night ended. I walked home alone, the roses still in my hand, my thoughts louder than ever before. Part of me wanted to ignore what she had said, to pretend it didn't matter. Another part of me was scared, not of her, but of what it meant. Because loving someone isn't just about the good parts. It's about choosing them even when their story becomes complicated, even when the world gives you reasons to walk away. And I had to ask myself a question I couldn't escape. Was I strong enough to stay? The days that followed were some of the hardest I've ever faced. I avoided her calls at first, not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much. I needed time to understand my own heart. Everywhere I went, I saw reminders of her. The cafe where we first talked for hours, the park where she laughed like she had no worries, the way she used to look at me when she thought I wasn't noticing. And slowly, painfully, I began to understand something. Her truth didn't change who she was. It revealed who she had always been, a woman who had survived more than most people could imagine. A woman who still had the courage to love, even after being hurt. A woman who stood in front of me that night, risking everything just to be honest. And I realized walking away would be the easier choice, but it wouldn't be the right one, so I went back to her. I still remember the look on her face when she saw me again. There was no expectation in her eyes, no hope, just acceptance, as if she had already prepared herself for goodbye. But I didn't come to leave, I came to stay. I didn't say much that day. Words felt too small for something that big. Instead, I simply stood beside her, close enough for her to feel it, for her to understand without explanation. And for the first time, she broke, not in weakness, but in relief, because sometimes the strongest people aren't the ones who hide their pain, they're the ones who finally find someone safe enough to show it to. From that moment on, everything changed, not overnight, not magically. There were still struggles, people talked. They always do. Some questioned my choice, others warned me, as if love was something you should measure with logic instead of feeling. There were moments when doubt crept in, when the weight of her past felt heavier than I expected. Moments when I wondered if I was doing the right thing, but every time I looked at her, I remembered why I stayed. It wasn't because she was perfect. It was because she was real, and real love isn't about finding someone without flaws. It's about finding someone whose flaws you're willing to stand beside. Slowly, her life began to change. The girl who once avoided mirrors started to smile at her reflection again. The woman who thought she was unworthy began to believe, little by little, that maybe she deserved happiness too. And I changed as well. I became stronger, not because life got easier, but because I chose not to run from what was hard. I learned that love isn't proven in grand gestures, but in quiet decisions. In staying when leaving would be simpler. Years later, when I think back to that night, the roses, the lights, the truth she finally spoke, I don't see it as the moment everything almost ended. I see it as the moment everything truly began, because love built on truth, no matter how painful that truth is, becomes something unbreakable. And if this story touched your heart in any way, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that remind us what real love looks like. Also, before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Leave a comment and tell me, where are you watching this from? Which country is showing love right now? Because stories like this don't belong to one place, they belong to everyone who still believes in standing beside someone. No matter what.